Running an online store means anything can happen at any time. You have 47 apps monitoring your store. But when something breaks, you're the last to know. Every app is screaming for attention, critical issues buried in noise. Meet Aura, your e-commerce AI agent, the intelligent alert system built for modern merchants. It monitors everything that matters: sudden sales drops, inventory issues, checkout errors, suspicious refund patterns, traffic anomalies, and sends alerts instantly on Slack, email, or your Shopify dashboard only when it truly matters. With smart trend tracking and strict accuracy checks, false alarms disappear. Your built-in AI chatbot explains exactly why an alert was triggered, digging into patterns, context, and potential root causes with clear, actionable steps to fix it. So you can stay focused on growth, not guessing games. Real anomalies, real context, real action items, pure signal, zero noise. Smarter alerts, faster decisions, complete control. Aura, act before impact.
Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm so happy you can make it to this video. And as you can see from the intro, we're going to be doing the project breakdown for that particular project, Aura. And this particular one is going to be, you would definitely need basic knowledge in 3D so that you can really follow along. But also I'm going to show you some of the things that I did in After Effects as well. So don't be scared off by, the 3D animation that you see there. So in this particular one, I'm going to show you how I even, from the scripting down to the animation and everything in between, I'm going to be showing you that. If you are new to my channel, make sure you do subscribe. And of course, the reason why you need to subscribe is because the next video I'm going to be working on, let me just quickly show you that.
What if your business never missed a call? Calls missed, messages unanswered, opportunities and revenue lost. Meet A1 Mobile, the business phone number that runs itself. It answers calls and texts automatically.
Hello? Hi, Carla. This is Blue Wave Full Service. You requested a quote last week.
Takes action for you. Works 24/7. Multiple calls, multiple languages. One number, one AI. Total peace of mind. Upgrade your business phone number today with A1 Mobile.
So make sure you do subscribe. Make sure you click on the bell icon so that I can get real-time notification from me when I drop the video next. And in that particular one, I'm actually going to be doing more of tutorials, more like a full tutorial than project breakdown. So make sure you stay tuned for that. And I also like to encourage you, if some of the details, you think that I didn't go deep into some of the details, try and get the project files. And if you do get the project files, you'll be supporting me, and I'll really appreciate it because it takes a whole lot of time and effort to getting things done. Lastly, if you want to be part of my community, part of the community of motion designers that are that are with me and we are all learning together, make sure you do join the Discord. To be in the link in the description. Make sure you do that. So without thinking so much of your time, let's get into it. All right, so I'm going to start with what the client sent to me as a brief. So this is like the entire brief, or the details of the project, the length and some of the things I really need to take note of. And the beautiful thing about this is, of course, I went through it to understand it, which is very important. And then the next thing I did was to just take the brief after having my own better understanding. And then I just put into ChatGPT to come up with 55 seconds motion graphic script for this particular brief. Because I'm the one coming up with the scripts, I needed to leverage AI to assist with this. But of course, I have to make sure I go through it myself to understand what it is they're trying to do. And before this, I actually have a long conversation with the client. I have a better understanding of what the client really wants. And this is actually the second video I'm doing for the client. So there's a little of context to it. I just needed to share. I sent this to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT, this was the prompt, and ChatGPT was able to give me a really good prompt and idea for me to develop on. And these are some of the things that it gave to me, and I was trying to refine it some more. right? Updating it and ask it to even give in tabular form so that I can be able to see it clearly. Yes, as I was doing this, I was developing more on it. I was having a little bit back and forth, right? I also said she had time into it, so it could be very, very clear. And I'll make some adjustment, have some back and forth with the clients. And then at the end of the day, I think this is what we decided on based on what me and the client agreed on in terms of the final scripting. And this is what we agreed on. And then I move on to now do the voiceover and the rest of it. So this is like the pre-production basically. So in addition to that, the client was generous enough to share me some of the assets that they've already developed for the particular product. So these are some of the assets. And as you can see, if you look deep into this, right, you can see that there are some 3D elements, and this is what made me go 3D style with this particular product, because some of the elements is actually like 3D. So these are some of the elements they shared with me, and I was able to, develop more on them. So that's in addition to the pre-production and preparation. So we are now going to go straight to After Effects. So I've broken this down into 6 major scenes, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 scenes, and then this scene 1, scene 2, scene 3, and they're actually majorly 3D, which I'm going to be showing you a little bit about 3D too as well. So let's go straight to scene 1, and this is the scene that we have here, right? The very first thing that you see is you see the website coming in basically, right? And if I just try and focus on this is what is driving it, and this was actually done in 3D. So I've rendered the 3D out. This is the rendered version of it. So I'm going to open up 3D now so you guys can see how I get to achieve this. It's actually quite simple and straightforward. Okay, so this is Cinema 4D, and if I just scroll through this, you can see what I have here. But then let us try and explore what is really going on here. So let me just create another view and just pin it somewhere here, and if I scroll down, and let me just hide the lighting. The lighting is actually quite harsh, so I'm just going to click on this traffic lighting here, right, to just deactivate it from the viewing option here basically. So this is what I have. It's actually quite simple. I have this plain backdrop here, and I have another plane down here, nothing much, and here is just a simple. So let me open this up. So what I have here is just a simple, this is what I have, and that's how I was able to build this. Very, very easy, very, very simple to build. We'll get to this later because I didn't use this Voronoi fracture here, so I can even delete. Okay, I can't delete that. So, but I can drag it out and just drop it here. I think I'll just leave it because something else is attached to it. So this is if I solo this now, let me just solo this. So this is the main background here, and this will be the face of it. Why is it not showing me that? So this is the face. This is the main background. This is the face. So basically, I just duplicated it and make sure that the face and the background are separated. That's how I was able to achieve this. I will not be going deep into 3D and all of that, because so you definitely have to have a basic knowledge in 3D, right? Most especially Cinema 4D for you to be able to understand what I'm doing here. So what I did here was actually quite simple. I just animated the camera. If I go to the animation viewport, you can see that from here. Let me just zoom out a little bit and adjust this. So it's just simple position animation. Camera is going in. So let me adjust this, and maybe drag this down, and of course do something like this, zoom out, and then activate my camera so that you guys can see the position on the camera. So by zooming in here, so can you see it's just simple position animation, just panning out, and then after that I animated the camera to just go down so that it can take the entire scene up basically. That was how I was able to really achieve this. So if we check the materials, right, I actually use Octane for this. I know a lot of people use Redshift, but I use Octane. So let me activate my Octane. So just give me like a second. Okay, so this is my Octane. I'm just going to activate it now. So it's going to try and load up all the materials and all. So it has finished loading. So basically, if I just scroll through this, it's changing. And basically what I did here was, if I go to the material responsible for this, which is this one, where is it? So if I double click this, right, if I go to the node editor, you will notice that I use a bitmap node for the diffuse side, and with this I actually use a video that I've rendered, right? And the video is just simple changing of animation. So let me just open this and play. So you can see that the video is just swapping, right? I actually did this in After Effects, just swapping the entire, this All right, so this is the video that I attached to the materials, bitmap materials, to the diffuse, so it can be changed. And of course, when you are doing this, you need to make sure that you put it on, I think with bitmap it will automatically load, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, you can go to animation and put it on exact seconds and then the end frame and all of that, but I think it's automatic when you do that. But if it's not automatic, you can just put it on animation, right? Shader or animation. So put on animation and then change the mode and all of that. So, and of course, click on calculate so that you calculate how long the video is. So that's how I was able to achieve this. Then in terms of the background, and I think that is really interesting, is this is how I was able to do it. So this is the floor. So let me hide this for now, and let me just do, okay, let me undo that, uncheck the camera, right, and then just zoom in. So if you look closely, you can see that there's some form of grid, and the way I get to do that is actually quite simple. So first thing is the plane. Okay, so let me just deactivate this for now. So I have a normal plane, right? This is just normal plane, which is the white. And then I now added a, so sorry, this is the plane here, actually. This is the plane here. Then I now added another plane, but then I now put the plane in a cloner, and the cloner is in grid, right? And I multiplied it quite a lot. So if I zoom out a little bit, you can see how much that I've multiplied it. So let me take away this first, and then yeah, take away this plane, right? So this is the, can you see that this is the grid, right? So like uncheck this, this is the grid that is responsible for that. So, and I just adjust the size, increase the count to fit to what I basically really want. So that's how I was able to really achieve this scene. Yeah, I did some experiments with some things there, and which I didn't later use, but basically this is how I was able to really achieve this particular scene. So let's go back to After Effects. So basically I rendered it out, and I was able to do some compositing and add some effect. So I added curves effect. I also added a little bit of vibrance, right? So this is what came out from Cinema 4D normally, and then with my color correction and my vibrance, this is what I have. That's how I was able to achieve this, and I brought this in here because I know I'm going to do like match cut into the text. So that's why I did that camera movement, and then I just cut straight to my position animation. So this very first text, you can see that the, let me adjust this a little bit. Yeah, so you can see that this first one is this anything, right, is quite big, and I use text evo for this. So if you don't know text evo, the evo is just, text evo is just like a simple script or plugin for you to be able to do some really text animation. Instead of you going to text animator, instead of you doing this, go to text animator and do all of that. Text evo is actually quite easy and simple to use. That's basically what I did here. And then this first one was very large, about 400 pixels. Then I just cut straight to the second one, basically. So anything can happen. And these are just simple position animation, basically. Simple position animation, nothing more, nothing less. And then attached to a null. If I press U, so that null is what is now driving to the side. So introduce driving to the side, and now introduce this other text here as well, right? So which is really interesting. So, and of course, I know that I was going to go to the next scene again, bring in another 3D scene. So I scale this down and then to the next scene. So let's see how that looks like first. Feet, okay. Then this. So now let's now go back to Cinema 4D to show you how I was able to achieve this particular scene. Yeah, so this is the scene here, and as you can see, if I move this forward, backward, you can see the camera movement. Just the same camera movement that I showed you guys, but this time around I introduced some other elements, right? If I, let's say, bring in another viewing panel here, so let me just put this here, adjust this like this. Right, so this is it from the side view, and you can see that these are just simple extruded placard or whatever it is you want to call it. So let me open this up. So they're actually all in a cloner, and if I open each of them, you can see that they're all made with different things. And you might think maybe I actually made everything like this natively in Cinema 4D. In a way I did, but of course, this all these tiny details of this graph would have taking me so much time. So there's a faster way of actually bringing bringing 2D illustration into Cinema 4D. And let me quickly just show you how that is being done. So I'm going to bring up my Illustrator now. So now this is an Illustrator that I have, and I've already saved this. So I need this to be in 3D. So basically what I'll do, I'll save it as normal Illustrator, which I've already done. And then I'm now going to import it into my Cinema 4D. So let me just do that. So this is what I've saved it as. So I'll go to Cinema 4D now. So this is my Cinema 4D. I can easily just drag and then drop it here. I'll click OK, and then need to go to a new page entirely. And from here, so let me just switch to standard for a second here. So from here, you can see how it looks. And then I can click this and go to extrude depth and then increase the extrusion. I can increase the extrusion, and then I can, if I want more control, I can click this and click on hierarchy. And as soon as I do that, it will give me more handles and see all those things that make up each of the layers. This is one way of you just bringing in illustration from Adobe Illustrator to a Cinema 4D. The workflow is actually quite easy, quite simple, and then you can have more control over this. So I did this a lot in this particular project. So I just want to quickly show you how that is being done. And some of the assets that I use in this particular, or is it not this? Some of the assets, so I actually brought them from Illustrator, and that's why I was able to have some form of control over it. So, and I was able to just add my color. Yeah, I'm just able to add my color, my texturing, and everything is good. I'm not going to go deep into texturing, right? I think one last thing I would like to touch on is the lighting. So for this particular one, let me go back to Octane. So let me quickly talk about lighting here, right? So there are a lot of things going on here. It's the same scene as this previous one that I showed you. And if I go to the light setup here, you can see that I have quite a number of things here, right? I experimenting with some Octane's HDR map, but this is one I settle with. So if I start taking out all these lights, let me just do this so I can have access to all those lights and zoom out a little bit and then take off all these lights, for instance. So the very first thing that I have, I actually use HDRI lighting kits from Grayscale Gorilla, and they have access to a whole lot of HDRI. So that's what I was able to use. I want to see if I can have access to it for you so you guys can see it. So I actually choose, I think HDRI, one of the HDRIs here. Basically, you can see the image from here, and that's what I use. And I realized that, okay, I think it's working. And without the HDRI, of course, it's gonna be outright darkness. But with it, this is what I have. Of course, I needed to develop this scene some more, and started introducing more lighting into this. Okay, so I started with the backlight, and if I scroll back down just to look at where the light is, you can see how big the light is. It's actually way behind the camera. I think it's reflecting here. If I take this out, this is what I have. Let me first of all even hide the HDRI first. So this is what the back, let me take out the ambient, let me take out the top light. So this is the back camera. You can see how far away that is. But I think the first light I actually set up is the top camera, right? And with this top camera, you can see it's just right above the entire scene. It's not so bright, right? It's not entirely so bright, but it's definitely working. And of course, introduce more light into the scene. You can see the light behind it, just lighting up the environment, and then the left, the right, the rim, right? So I actually introduced a whole lot of lights, and just to make sure that the scene looks as good as possible. I would advise you get the project file. I really want to see how I get to lit this thing up, including the HDRI here. So when you get your project file, you have link to HDRI that I use. But mind you, when you get the project file, there are some plugins that I use that you might not have, like the Grayscale Gorilla Plus plugins, like Signal and the HDRI Plus and the other things that I believe that I use here. But it won't stop you from viewing it. And of course, you also need Octane. That means you must have Octane on your Cinema 4D so that you can be able to see this final render. So just one thing to just need to note of. So I would like to stop here right now. I think there's really nothing much again that I did here. Okay, I think the other thing is how I shoot this break, and that's how this is the Verona fracture that is responsible for that. Basically, I just animated the offset. If I go to the animation, click on this, the offset. Yes, so this is it. So from here, the offset is at 0, and then when it gets to this point, is at 120. Is that when it gets to this point, is at 0.1. That's why we have that crack. And of course, even the camera, right? In the camera, I also apply some depth of field. I actually animated the depth of field. So when it zooms in, so we can actually focus on the crack UI element there, and every other thing will be blurred. So yeah, that's basically the idea. Let me know if you guys need more information about this. So let's go back to After Effects. So I brought this in here. You can see, just to bring it in, and of course did some compositing just to make it look really sharp, really good, right? Color correction, vibrance, and all. So I won't dive deep into this, because I actually did some passing, right, just to have some elements separated and then add some more color and do a lot of compositing to that as well. And then of course this is the next scene. Now you can see all these apps popping up. Before this, I actually did a whole lot of experiments, and some, of course, some didn't work clearly, right? But these are the ones that eventually worked. So I'm going to go back to Cinema 4D and show you how I get to set this particular scene up. I think it's actually quite cool. Okay, as you can see this now, you can see this setup here, right? You can see how many things I have to clone here. So if I come here, you will notice that I have these apps. So these are basically all the apps here, and I put them in the cloner, and I can see that I actually repeat them quite a lot. So if I uncheck this, I can see that these are like the main ones behind here. But then I also, make an instance of it, and that's why you can see some of those are actually disappearing, right? Of course, I think I still did some more cloning here as well. So this is like practically the remaining ones here that I cloned. Yeah, with this, I was able to just put all of this inside, right? These are all the apps, and these apps, I get to achieve them. I didn't exactly have to model some of these things, right? Some I had to do, like this. Let me see, like this one. These ones they were actually quite easy to do. Circle, and then maybe app circle, and do all of that. So this one too, I think it was something I easily created. Even the dollar sign, like this this particular icon here, I actually saw it online. You can check site like Turbo Squid or CG Trader. You're able to get some of the free models, right? If you're a 3D artist, I'm pretty sure you know where to get free 3D assets. So that's how I was able to get some of these things, and that's how I was able to do this. Then in addition to that, of course, I needed to add notification to it. So this notification, of course, I did this by myself, and they all have some form of animation added to it. So let me just adjust this up a little bit. And so I think the notification should be, so I just want to find out where it is animated. So let me just move it to the side. So this is where I might have to adjust this timing to about, let's say, 170. Yeah. So this is where we now have the animation of it popping up, all the notification popping up. They're all popping up in different ways. But if I uncheck this, so you can see all the notifications here. So here I just needed to stagger all of them at some point, right? And they're all in the same, practically the same scene, but I just needed to offset them a little bit. That's how I was able to have all this number pop up, in different ways. That's how I was able to do that. And of course, if you are wondering why it's looking very blurry in the rendering, that's because in the camera settings, I actually animated the focal length, because so I can just focus on each of the icons basically. So I think this particular one was on another icon. This one was on another icon. I think another one was another icon. So I just did different camera to switch on another icon, and they're just simply moving in, basically simple zoom in animation from the camera, but of course with the making sure that this is at the center of it. Yeah, that's how I basically had to achieve this. With the cloner, you see that I have some effectors as well. So this is the random effector. So let me give you guys a better view of this so you guys can understand. So this is the random effector. Without the random effector, I think that is not showing what I want. So I think this should be it. Yeah, and this should be it. Yes, so this is the random effector for the one at the back camera. For the one in the front, this is the These are the look without the randomness and without push aparts. Randomness without push apart. See, they all look like they're in the same grid. So, but with randomness and push apart, I was able to really randomize it really well. So that's how I was able to achieve this scene. Let's go back to After Effects. And of course, I brought all of that in here to just match well with what I'm doing. And here is when I have simple text animation, right? You guys might be wondering how I get to create this background. It's very similar to this subscribe video that I did. So if I go straight to this, and then this is main background. So this is the main background I was given. So absolutely, this is the PG. So this is part of the thing that I got from the Figma file they sent to me. Basically, what I did was just apply some blur to it, because this is how it looks like. So I just added blur so that can blend. And of course, my color, you guys know I get to achieve this light leaks. This is an asset I almost use almost all the time, because this light leaks can use in different ways, and that's practically what I did. So I just brought this in here, increased the scale quite a lot. Okay, so I've not soloed it. So yeah, this is it. So I increased the scale quite a lot, and I masked the middle, so I can only focus on the middle, and of course change the color as well. And also added turbulence display, and that's how I was able to achieve this simple background. Added more turbulence display, I guess, to it as well, so it can really look the way I want it to be. So that's how I was able to achieve the background. Let's go back to the text. So basically here it was just simple position animation, nothing much, no more, no less. I would strongly advise that you watch my app gen video, which was the last project breakdown that I did. I literally showed you guys how I get to do my text animation, this overshoot and bounce. Please make sure you do check that out, so you'll be able to understand how I get to achieve this. So I'm trying to keep this video as short as possible. So basically just simple position animation. And if you notice, I separated the X and Y, and that's because I wanted to use the value graph. So this is how it looks like. So I was able to do my simple bounce and overshoot. There are some plugins and scripts that can help you do bouncing and overshoot, but I just like to have more control over what I'm doing. So I just did match cut into the next one. Just simple, the same technique, just different positioning. Basically, that's what I did here. And here is the logo animation. And logo animation is actually quite simple, quite easy for me to do. Of course, I did this in 3D. I actually modeled the logo. The same technique that I showed you guys on exporting from Adobe Illustrator to Cinema 4D. That's how I was able to do this. But let's go straight to Cinema 4D and let me show you how I get to quickly achieve this particular logo icon animated. Okay, so this is the Cinema 4D scene. And basically what I did there was quite simple and easy. Let me just open another panel here so I don't have to mess with the camera. So, and if I zoom out, if you guys notice, I have some of the elements, and some of these things I didn't even use because I was doing a lot of experiments with this. But in the long run, I didn't really use this, so I'm just going to delete it. I didn't use this, so I'm just going to delete it as well. So what I have is just this extrude box here, which is just simple box or cube that will achieve it. And then of course the color was black. If I scoop over this over, you can see that it has a black diffuse color there. And then the next thing was this logo element. If I open this up, the complete logo, so this is the text that I deactivated because I just needed that for reference. I actually did the rest in After Effects. So this is the logo, and basically what I did was actually quite simple. It was just simple position and rotation animation. So you see, it's just having those four coming in together in a certain way. It's just coming in together, and when they join together, they move to the side, right? Rotated to the side. And it's actually quite easy and simple how I get to achieve this. Basically, I animated each of the logo icon or logo objects. You can see that they are literally just position and rotation was done. I also animated the view to right, revealing, but that is not really necessary right now. Just the position and animation coming together. And then lastly, I now animated the null itself, carrying it. So the null now has another positioning. So that is what is taking all of them together and then moving it to the side basically. So that's how I was able to achieve this. And of course, the materials that I use, considering that it's octane, it's just simple metallic material that I use, GGX metal materials. And that's how I was able to have this shiny thing going on here. So I really hope that is quite straightforward for you to understand. If not, try and get the project files and you get more. So let's go back to After Effects. Of course, I brought all of this in here. Yeah, so this is where I am. This is the logo here. So if I solo this up now, so this is it here. When I rendered it, this is how it looks like. And one thing that I did here was apply deep glow to it. Of course, animated the exposure so that it can be maybe very flashy at the beginning and then come down. But one other thing I also did was to enable chromatic aberration, right? So this is without chromatic aberration. Can you see it's just like plainly white? But with chromatic aberration on the deep glow plugin, it gives you this retro look and which makes it look really cool. And of course, I overlaid that with the background and with the text itself. So if I go to the text itself, it's just simple position animation, as you can see here. So basically what I did here was I parented all of this, each letter to the main letter here. You can see that this is it here, but it's not. So this is the one that is moving everything together at once. But if you look at this, they also have their own position animation as well, sliding to the side, just reinforcing the movement. And lastly, I did some opacity animation, right, just to flicker it in, right. And I use a preset for this. If you're interested in this preset, kindly let me know. I can make it available for you, but you can just simply do opacity animation basically with this. So it's quite easy and simple to do. And of course, I introduced other things, which is just simple position animation with this. As I'm moving the logo up, I'm introducing the commerce text, which is here. So if I press U, you can see the positioning is just going up. And it's actually quite simple, just simple position animation. And here, when we have other text coming in, if you notice that, you know, they are transitioning into other text. And here it's just simple. If you watch my previous tutorial, right, the AppGen tutorial or project breakdown, I actually did a total breakdown. No, this is not me showing you. I recreated that. So let me show you guys.
Off at the middle here.
All right,
and
so
I
this is
have
the
this
tutorial, right? I actually
takeover,
showed you
right? And as
guys
you can see, I did a little of
no capping
overshoots
at
and
all
special
here.
on
So yeah, I actually recreated the entire
this
thing, and it's the same
animation,
technique that
which
I
is
use in
all
this
this
video. So
text,
make sure you do
because it's
check
actually the same
out this
technique,
previous
which I'll match
tutorial.
into,
Is the
and
SaaS
then
motion
we'll move
graphics
on.
full
So
tutorial project
practically,
breakdown
I'm just going
AppGen.
to fast forward
So
all this
check it out. So you learn how I get to achieve this particular text animation, right? So because I will not be showing so much that here right now. So moving on to other things, let's see. I think we are done with the first scene, so let's go straight to scene 2. And at this point, I did a little bit of transition, this flash transition. And here, I didn't create this transition from scratch. It's part of the packs that I use basically. So if I go to my windows, go to my extension, and I think it's from this particular one. All right, so this is the pack here, right? I've actually downloaded this one for free. I didn't have to buy this one at all. And I just normally have some things that I normally go to. So they have different kind of transition and things like that there. But the one I use is the one from the light. So this is the one I use here. Very simple. They have other ones, but this one I use. Really cool transition. So if I come here, if I click on this and I click on apply, so it's going to do its thing, and then, okay, so it's supposed to put it at the middle here, but it didn't. So let me just adjust that. So as you can see that between these two scenes now, I've put this here, and if I press play, it's going to, the transition is going to happen between them, and After Effects is taking time to load, but it's trying to load that particular transition. So that's basically it, right? So this is the transition that I use in a nutshell. So let me just close this. So that's what gave birth to this. Yeah. So now let's go into this scene. You guys already know that all of these are majorly 3D, majorly 3D. And so we're going to go back to Cinema 4D again. So here is the scene for this particular one. And if you guys notice, I have quite a number of things here. These are like all the things that make up all this particular panel. And like I showed you guys already, I use Adobe Illustrator to bring them into Cinema 4D. That's how I was able to have so much control into all of this scene here. So let me now take you to the main thing, which is the camera. So I have this set of cameras that I've used. So this is the one that is very close up to what I really want. I don't wonder why this one is inverted. This is the next one. This is the next one. This is the next one. So I have different camera views basically, right? And this is the last one. But what I now did was to now have camera morph. So if you go to, let's say I select these two camera, for instance, I can now go to, is it tools? I think it's tools tools or selects or modes. There's a way this thing is done. So let me see. Okay, yes, so this is it here. So you go to camera and then you now do camera morph. What this will do, it will morph between one or two cameras. So in this instance, if I go to my morph, you can see that I have actually added all my camera scenes into the morph camera. So from 1 to 4. So what this would do is when this is animating, it's going to switch from one camera to another. So let me just activate this camera. So basically instead of me taking one camera scene or the other, what I basically did was to do the camera morph, and then the camera morph, I animated the blend, and then from there it's going to choose from one camera to another. So this is the first camera, and then to blend to the next one, blend it to the next one, blend to the next one, all because I've attached all this camera to this particular main camera. So let me just put this main camera, and that's basically how I get to really achieve this. Then the other things here are just simple animation, right? I just make sure that this handle, and this is actually made up from the logo itself. This is not supposed to be inverted. There's an error here, but I don't think I have the time to fix that. But basically I took each of this. Let me quickly do this. Let me zone in here. You can see. So I just took this and then apply animation to each of those elements. I just apply animation to each of those elements. That's why it comes out. It's just simple position animation, simple bouncing position animation. You can see how this is coming out. And then for this next one, if you guys notice, you can see that it's sliding accordingly. Let me zoom in some more. And here is just simple. Yeah, this is it. So here is just simple cloner effector thing going on here basically. So if I select this, where is this from? From here. So I put all of them in a fracture basically. And I also added a plane effector. So this plane effector is, what is responsible for the movement. But then with that effector, I added a spherical field. So it's that spherical field, wherever this spherical field moves, that's when it will really affect. That's basically what I practically did, and I also parent the cursor here to the spherical field. So that's why it's moving alongside with that, and then move on to the next scene, and then that rested here. So that's basically how I get to really achieve this. I know I rushed through that, but I'm pretty sure you guys have an understanding of this if you work on Cinema 4D. If you don't, you might want to consider learning basics in Cinema 4D. And then the last thing I did here was to now have a separate animation for this last camera, because I needed a transition into the next scene, which is going to flip to the other side. So let's go back to After Effects. So here it is. I have all this done. You can see how smooth and good looking it is. So this is the last scene here that flipped to the other side, because I'm about to really just change over to the next scene. Yes, so this is the next scene here. And here is just the same. I did this in Cinema 4D. It's actually quite simple and easy. So let me show you how I get to achieve this particular scene. It's really simple. Nothing really crazy going on here. So let's go back to Cinema 4D. So these are like some of the objects that I have in this scene. Just simple laptop, a book. But of course, what I did basically was to just add my own texturing, black and white, don't stay consistent with the brand thing basically, and model this smart just to make it look as realistic as possible. And I just have all of this popping out of this Cinema 4D thing here. Just simple position animation basically. Let me just quickly go here. So this is it. These are all the notifications that I have, and I just did simple positioning animation from inside the phone app, while we have the red thing coming in from the side. And these are just simple position animation as well. It's just coming from the side basically. Come in here and enter, then review this, and simple camera motion, right? I also did camera morph here. So this is the first camera, this is the second camera, right? This is actually the first camera here, second camera, and I did camera morph between two of them to really reveal this. So that's basically how I get to achieve this. I'm not going to go deep into texturing and all, because that would be really a little bit maybe complex, and then the video will be too long. So let's go straight to After Effects as well. So I did all of this, and then of course did my transition to my simple text animation, and then of course if I press U here, simple sliding in, changing the background to white, just simple color, changing the color basically. If I press U, so where is the white background? That's what I'm looking for now. Okay, let me just solo all of this. Okay. So what I did was I didn't change the background. I added invert. So this is the invert adjustment layer. So just have changed to black and white basically. So I just when it got to this point, I just added adjustment layer to invert, and that's how I was able to have the black and white and with all the simple position animation. And then to the next scene. So here's the next scene where I have the chat box. Just have all of this. So let's open it up. Basically, it's Cinema 4D file, and that's what is in this pre-composition here. So let's go to Cinema 4D. So here is the Cinema 4D. If I scroll through this, you can see what's going on here. So the major thing here is the camera that is moving, highlighting some parts. You can see the camera here just moving and lighting some parts, panning, going up and down. And also, if you look closely, you can see that some things are actually disappearing from the screen, right? Some of the chat box. So the way you can animate things disappearing is when you click on any object, and then you can go to the editor visibility, and you can just check this for on, and then you move forward in frame, and then you can now turn it off. So that means when it gets to this point, it will not show on both. When it gets to this point here, that means it will not show. It will the objects in the scene will not show. You can see that it has not turned double red. But when it is somewhere here, can you see that it's on? So that's how I was able to animate opacity basically, right? Just fix that animation there. Just trying to undo some of the things I've done. And then you can see the text writing on. And basically I did this through material. So if I double click this and go to the material here, see the material that is responsible. And if I open up the node editor, remember I'm using Octane. Octane is my preferred renderer, not Redshift. So basically you can see that I have some nodes here. So the very first thing is image sequence, and this image sequence, I actually the file that I used to attach to the image sequence is actually like a PNG sequence. So if I click on this now and let it go to my folder, you can see that it's actually a PNG sequence, and you can easily export this in After Effects. So basically all I just did was did the animation in After Effects, and then I now render everything in PNG sequence in After Effects, and I now choose this as where this needs to go. So that's basically what I did. And one other thing that I did as well was to use the image sequence as well as the opacity, then change this to alpha so that it can only be transparent, right? So that I can able to see what's in the background. And this is just for me to adjust some of the UV mapping on it. So that's basically how I get to achieve that. The rest are just camera basically. Let's go back to After Effects. And of course, I did my compositing, the same kind of text animation that I did throughout. If I press U, you can see the animation. You can see that I animated the opacity, that I animated the position, X position, and I also animated the scale. So you can see that it's scaled in, right? I did a match cut to that, and I have all of this coming in, right? Just sliding into the side, and that's how I was able to achieve this particular part. I know I'm going to match cut to another shot. That's why I actually animated this text this way, this scene. So this next scene is actually quite simple. What I did was just simple basic position animation basically. Let me fit the screen and let me just solo this. Let me see. Yeah, so this particular comp, I have all of this here, and if you check, they are not even text. What I did here was in Cinema 4D, I actually rendered out this glass and the text together in Cinema 4D. You can even see that there's a little bit of artifact going on here, but it's not that obvious. All of this was rendered out in Cinema 4D as normal PNG because I just want to have more control basically. And basically what I did was just apply simple position animation, and then while it is going up. So yeah, so you can see I also animated deep glow as well because the one at the center, I want the one at the center to be glowing, right? So when the next one gets to the center, it will glow. So that's basically what I did. And I have this null here controlling it to be moving up, right? As it's moving up, I animated it to be moving to the side, to the center here. So if I go back, you notice that there's a mask and I feathered the mask. So that's why when it is scrolling, you can see that there is kind of like fading away. So, and I have all of this coming in, and then the match cut into the next scene. This also as well, this pure signal, this was rendered out in Cinema 4D. I just rendered it out because I know that this is what I wanted to do. I just match cut it with the text here. Same with this as well. Basically, you know the idea I told you that you can an Illustrator, right, and then export to Cinema 4D. That technique, that's what I used to, to bring in all this icon and then animate them in After Effects. And then of course the rest, so this is the particular one that I actually use. So I just match cut into this, and just simple position, scale animation with null. No big deal here. The only thing is I changed the background just to make sure that I'm breaking the scene into another segment, right? That's basically what I did. That's it for this scene, and of course to the logo animation, which I've already showed you guys before. And here it is. So this is it. So these are like some other things that I've yet to touch on. Some of the adjustment layer that I use. So I use noise and I use vignette. So without the noise, this is what we have, and without vignette, this is what we have. Everything is all bright, but with noise brings all the color together. Avoid color. They make us avoid column bending, and then vignettes just bring the focus at the center. And I actually did this throughout the entire composition, right? You can see the noise, vignettes. So when we have all this extra zoom, these are just transform effects that I did some zoom in, zoom out. So instead of me using null, I can use this technique, which is really, really good and quite easy. So that will make me avoid using so many nulls. You can see here as well. So even some parts, I actually use color correction. So this one has color correction. This one has inverted. So this is where I use the inverted here, and I have my noise and vignette. So I did this throughout this particular video, and this is how I was able to produce it. I know that this video is not as is highly technical in 3D, but I really hope you've been able to learn one or two things. If you have any question, I'll be doing a live specifically for this video, so make sure you stay tuned, and then we'll definitely talk more about it. Thank you. I really hope you guys were able to learn a lot from that. I really hope you were able to pick one or two things. If you guys do, please kindly let me know in the comment section. And if there's some specific thing you want me to probably talk on or show more, you can just drop a comment. I'll see what I can do with that. But most importantly, make sure you join the Discord. I'm actually going to be answering some questions. I'm actually going to be doing live stream, right? So almost every other week I'll be doing live stream, answering some questions, just basic question and answer. And for this particular video, we are going to be doing live stream specifically, question and answer about this project. So make sure you do stay tuned, subscribe so that I can be up to date with that. Thank you so much for watching this. And before you go, I'm pretty sure YouTube is suggesting one or two videos for you to watch from my channel. So make sure you do watch it, learn, and then I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you.